Yeah, picking up on your point about free models or free tools, I actually do see a question in the Q&A. Sorry, Sarah, I'm jumping on your Q&A, which is how do you avoid exposing confidential data when you're working with AI? And that is the absolute number one rule: is never use free tools. So free ChatGPT, free Claude, free Perplexity, free whatever. Never use those when you're doing anything that might contain any proprietary information or data. There obviously have been many instances. We've heard the horror stories of organizations putting proprietary information in to have that proprietary information come out somewhere else, right, outside the organization. So that's number one. If you're going to be using these tools with proprietary information, always, always, always on a paid plan. And even then, you probably need to be really, I would say, considered in your reviews of the policies and protections that are in place with those paid plans, because they can vary quite a bit from tool to tool. They can be confusing in different tiers of tools in terms of what level of protection do you get, for example, with ChatGPT Plus versus ChatGPT Teams versus Enterprise, right? Very different levels of protection. And I always maintain, frankly, personally, a level of skepticism, especially with certain providers like OpenAI, about how well they actually abide by their own terms of service. If you want an absolute, sort of surefire solution to data leakage, to me, it means private instances, right? You've got to do something that you have locked down either on your service, on your servers in a cloud, that you have control of, that, where you can ensure that you have the right data security protocols in place. The other thing that when I think about
Hey, Greg,
keeping,
just real quick, just as a tip
yeah,
to everybody out there, if anybody wants to run down the path of working with their internal IT and security teams on this, we use Microsoft Azure. So we get the OpenAI models and we have them inside of Azure, and then everyone we're an Office 365 shop, and so you can just use the Office 365 version of OpenAI, so the Bing chat. And so you get all the capabilities, but then you've got the data security, sanitization, privacy, capabilities that Microsoft Office ends
yeah.
up bringing to bear. Uh, I don't want to go too much into the technical details there, but just that is secure. If you trust Microsoft with your email and your documents already.
Right, right, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I'll say is sort of like the first and last line of defense a lot of times with data security is the end user, right? Because you can secure, you can secure it at the, kind of at that level, like that Conor, right, that you're talking about. But every user in your organization has to understand what's permissible, what's not permissible, what the risks are, where the risks exist, all that kind of stuff. So, especially for the organizations who kind of put themselves as zeros to ones, maybe even some of the twos, because you'll be surprised. Many organizations, even some who are a little bit more advanced in their AI journey, don't have written AI usage guidelines. And that leaves an end user, a random end user in some department in your organization, unclear about when, where, how, and if they can use these tools. So it is important to make sure you're clearly documenting. I don't like to call them policies, right? Because it's not about discouraging usage. It's about encouraging the right kind of usage. So I just find like calling them guidelines or something, that sounds like it's more empowering is a nice little mental trick. But you do want to make sure that everybody in your organization understands how these tools work and where there might be some risk factors.